Sure, as bodybuilders, we've all stuffed up a toilet bowl or two in our day. Dave Palumbo here with an RX Muscle news update. Got an Instagram war going on again. Tonio Burton, Rafael Brandao, hitting heads, clunking chins, like two mountain goats going at it. What's going on? Here's the scoop. I guess Tonio Burton did an interview and he talked about his loss to Rafael Brandao, which he thought was wrong. And I'll go on record, I've already been on record as saying I thought, from at least the pictures and videos I saw, I thought Tonio Burton did deserve the win. Regardless, he was very upset, obviously, that it was unanimously decided in Rafa's favor. He felt that Rafa got preferential treatment because of it was his home country of Brazil. He felt he had an entourage backstage and no one else had that. And I guess he felt that he was unfairly scored. You know, he pointed out some weaknesses in Rafa's physique in the sense that his glutes had some lumps in them, they weren't hard, and his conditioning wasn't quite where it needed to be. And I think a lot of the things that he made and a lot of the points he made were valid. I'm not sure, you know, I guess he can say whatever he wants, you know, and I think that is valid, especially after you do a show and you give 100% of yourself to a show and you feel like maybe, you know, things didn't go your way. Really, what he's condemning is he's really not condemning Rafa. He's condemning the judging that was done there because it wasn't Rafa's fault that Rafa won the show. Now, is Rafa from Brazil? Yes. Is Rafa going to have more people there for him since it isn't his home country? Of course he is. You know, he knows everyone there. He knows all the backstage people. That's to be expected, and I don't think that anyone thinks that that's necessarily wrong. You know, if you're competing in your hometown, you have a hometown advantage. That means that you're gonna know all the people working there at the show. You're gonna have, you know, whatever people are there, you know, supporting you, sponsors, friends. That's called hometown advantage, all right? As far as what his physique looked like on stage, I've seen Rafa better. His glutes were not as tight as they probably could have been. Does he still have a lot of gifts out there? Yes, he has more muscle than Antonio. He has really nice shape and structure to his body. It flows well. Do I think his conditioning could have been better? Absolutely. Do I think that his conditioning was better than Tonio's? No way. Do I think he got preferential treatment because he was from Brazil? Possibly. Possibly. But the judges are the ones that are to be condemned. Now, I know that Tonio pointed out that if, you know, some of the United States judges with like Steve Weinberger and Tyler Mannion, it might have gone a different way, and it might have been. That's why different judging panels, you get different outcomes. And I think it was close. I think that Good Vito was in there very closely as well. His tan was kind of muddy looking, which probably hurt him quite a bit. But at the end of the day, you know, I guess Rafa took Tonio's criticism of him and the outcome and maybe the treatment that Rafa, or the preferential treatment that he felt Rafa got at the show, he took that personally.
And I mean, I said it online, I'll say it again. He wasn't conditioned enough to win any pose.
Which he really shouldn't have, because you won the show. You qualified for the Olympia. Nothing to talk about, you know? The people who lose are always going to be disgruntled. Whether they deserve to be, you know, disgruntled or not, it remains to be seen. But Rafa won the show. So Rafa got a few digs on him. If you look at his Instagram story, he had actually one version in Portuguese, one version in English, and of course I read the English version, and he basically was saying that you know, he threw a few digs at Tonio. He said that he let Tonio train at his gym, and he clogged the toilet there, and he was training in his underwear. I don't know what that meant in his underwear. Maybe he meant posing trunks. I don't know, you know, what he meant by that. But obviously Rafa was not amused by Tonio's interview, and you know, and he had to throw a few digs in. Now, I think this back and forth is good for the sport. You know, it adds excitement because now we want to see those two go against each other at the Olympia. And I'm sure Tonio will qualify. He'll probably, I don't know what show he plans to do. I know he's going to be at New York Pro against Nick Walker. He says he's going to beat him. I'm looking forward to seeing that battle. That might be a tall order. I think Tonio should go to Detroit this weekend and get the qualification there for sure, and still do New York, of course. He's the reigning New York Pro champion from last year, and rightly so. He looked great there. Did he deserve to win in Brazil? More than likely, I would have had him, but I wasn't there in the front row. So I always like to reserve judgment when I'm not there. Like when I was at the Arnold, and I'm sitting in the front row, I can make some pretty, astute, observations. Like, I don't care what anyone said. I saw Hottie right in the front row there, and he decimated the lineup. There was not even anyone close to him because I was there and I saw it. Sometimes video can make people look a little better or a little worse, depending on who you are. Was Rafa his best? No. Does Rafa know he wasn't his best? I'm sure he knew that. Did he do enough to beat Tonio? Evidently, the judges that were there thought so. Once again, there's always going to be close battles in bodybuilding. It's a very subjective sport. And just because I might think that Tonio deserved to win, and Tonio thought he deserved to win, doesn't mean he deserved to win. I have to defer to the judges that were there, and obviously they saw it one way. Do I think that it was probably a unanimous decision? That makes it look a little bit, less believable because every single judge saw it that way. I don't know. That makes me feel a little uncomfortable. But a lot of times, and we've pointed this out on shows that we've done, when it's really close, all you have to do is every judge has to just think that one person beat that guy by just a little bit. And let's face it, when it is close, the hometown guy always does get the advantage. Because if it's a coin flip, who are you going to go with? You're going to go with who you know. It's human nature. There's no way around that, okay? I'm sorry, when it's very close, people go with who they like better. And if they're from Brazil and the judges are from Brazil, you're going to see a judging decision that goes towards the Brazilian bodybuilder. If we were in the United States and it was vice versa, you might see a bias towards the United States guy. Maybe Tonio would have won if this show was taking place in the United States. So you just don't know. Like I said, I really thought Good Vito looked really good. And had his tan been better, we might have seen him win the show. So you just don't know. On a given day, the judges vote on what's up there. Was Brandao his best? No. Was he good enough to beat Tonio? Possibly. Possibly. He was bigger. He has really good lines like Tonio does. And the judges might have said, you know what? We see his size being an advantage over necessarily Tonio's shape and structure, and we're going to go with him. And that's what they went with. So I'm not really here to do an analysis of what the outcome of the show was. I just think it was humorous that they're going back and forth at each other. I hope they're not taking this seriously where they're not going to be friends anymore. I hope it's just some friendly, ribbon. And hopefully when we see them on the Olympia stage later this year, they can have a great little go at it at the press conference and talk some crap and then get up on stage and do some battle. Because after all, that's what we want. We want excitement in the bodybuilding division. When we have battles and we have rivalries where guys have maybe a little bad taste in their mouth from a show that they did against each other, it makes it more exciting. Guys, keep it going. Keep the excitement going. Rafa, I love the sense of humor. I love that you said Tonio stuffed up the toilet bowl. That is very, very cool because it's funny and it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. I'm sure as bodybuilders, we've all stuffed up a toilet bowl or two in our day. And at the end of the day, hopefully we can all laugh about it. All right, that's the update from the bodybuilding world. Tonio versus Rafa. What will we see next? Dave Palumbo for an RX Muscle News Update.